That's a trick when we're out together. That's a cheek to cheek. Oh, I'd love to climb to mountain, reach to highest peak, but it doesn't thrill me half as much as dancing cheek to cheek. Oh, I'd love to go out fishing in a river or a creek, but I don't enjoy it half as much. And dancing
like a gambler's lucky.
Hello, everybody. What a good-looking crowd out there today on this Pearl Harbor Day 2022. We are excited to be with you. Much anticipation for this year's parade, and of course things get kicked off with our opening ceremony. I just want to make a quick announcement immediately following the national anthem. We're going to invite a representative from each of our high school participants to come forward and help us with a flower lay ceremony to many of our vets who are in attendance today. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Master of Ceremonies. He's the Master of Ceremonies each year for this event, the voice of the Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade, Mr. Joe Teipel.
Mahalo, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that introduction, Joel Biggs. More about him later on. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, while I have all the introductions I've ever received, that was the most recent. Actually, I couldn't have said it better. That's why I had him say it. Hosted by environmentally towers of excellence, the Trump Tower here, the Ritz-Carlton there, the biggest resort in the Pacific, and of course, the one the most booked hotel in America, home of the Warriors, the Halekoa Hotel. Each and every one of you. Show of hands, how many are here for the very first time taking New Jersey. We're just getting warmed up here, gang. It gets better. And from Colorado, Parker United Methodist Choir. Ladies and gentlemen, performing Amazing Grace, the Celtic Pipes of Hawaii. Give them a warm round of applause one more time. Thank you so much. Woo! Outstanding, outstanding. You may be seated. Thank you. Man, if that rendition of Amazing Grace doesn't get you feeling alive, you might want to check your pulse or see if you can still fog a mirror. We can do it. I like that. Can I have one of those? All right, here we go. Making the past your present. That's part of the theme of what we're doing here today, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, your presence here today at Corona Field is a great early Christmas present to these fine heroes and VIPs and honorees and World War II veterans here on stage. So thank you very much. And by the way, an early Melikaliki Maka and Merry Christmas. Jack, by the way, welcome back. How young are you? On the 13th, he's going to be 101. Jack Holder, one of our speakers, coming up later on there. Woo! God bless you. Welcome back. So good to have you. Opening ceremony. This is the 2022 edition of the Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade. This is the largest event commemorating the anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. This is the official event of the 6-year commemoration of the World War II 80th anniversary. And of course, how many were here last year for that 80th anniversary? Show of hands. A few of you joining us again. Great, welcome back. Today we're going to be remembering and commemorating the events of the past by saluting those whose service and sacrifice preserve the freedom of a grateful nation. We are honored to have a few of those great men who were here in 1941, many of whom personally witnessed the attack on Pearl Harbor. Others served in the Atlantic, and others in locations elsewhere in World War II. Ladies and gentlemen, all of these great patriots represent all those who served and those who died on that day just over 81 years ago, December 7th, 1941. Our veterans of World War II are great Americans. We thank you. We love you. We will always remember what you have given to each of us here today and to our entire and grateful nation. Ladies and gentlemen. And heroes, and before you, gentlemen, are the reason you all served. That's you out there. Among those assembled are school bands, choirs, junior ROTC groups, cheerleaders, dancers, and other performers and participants representing nearly 50 states from across these great United States of America. And in fact, we have Miss United States of America up on stage. More about you later on. They are here to express their gratitude by sharing, hold on to your hats and your toupees, by the way. It's a little windier than usual. By sharing their gratitude and their talent with you. They have worked tirelessly to make the trip to Hawaii to see you, Jack and company. And that's a fact. To pay tribute to and to help remind all Americans why we are a free nation. A round of applause we give to you that came from so far, and the bands and choirs and everybody else. All right, they warmed you up over there, and as promised, we're going to have Let's Be Proud of Our Home State, Let's Be Proud of Our Hometown shout-off contest right now, because you hail from near and far. You know who I am. I'm Joe Teufel. I'm a 57-year Kama'aina local of Hawaii. Although born in Ohio. All 5 of you still here. That's good. Are there any other Kama'aina locals from Hawaii in my audience? All right. We have a lot of visitors. And according to Joel's script for me here, we got you hailing from Georgia, Kentucky. Where's Virginia when you need them? Ooh, not too good. Send a few remainers back home. Minnesota's here. And for the great capital of the country of America, Washington, D.C. Yeah. And from the great state of Arizona. Of course, where's Maryland when you need them? Can you say North Carolina? Pennsylvania? Who's here from Illinois? New Jersey? And probably the greatest state of freedom by degree, Florida. Where are you? Woo! All right, the last state here, Representative shout off. You're going to have to overpower Florida. They're doing pretty darn good, but you have 33, at least accounted for, millions. California. Whoa. All right, looks like California won. Joel, can you give them a $100 bill each? I don't have any money to give them. Anyway, looks like they won. Oh, sorry. We're all at once. Where's the rest of you from? Let me hear you. Michigan won right up here. Somebody give them $100. Yeah, all two of them. Okay. So we welcome all of you from wherever you're from here today to participate in the historic parade. We thank those who helped to make this event possible, including Hawaii Pearl Harbor Tours, A&E History, Varsity Spirit, Forever Young Veterans, the Military Order of the Purple Hearts, the Marine Corps League. You don't have to remain silent. It's not a funeral. You can shout if you want to. Let's see who else. I said the Marine Corps League. How about the Navy League? Dave Livingston, big fan of them. Our active duty military personnel. Semper Fi. Semper Fi, do or die. I'm going to remember that. I like that. Yeah. From the city and county of Honolulu, we say a big thank you, by the way, to our one and only Mayor Rick Belangiardi for his support of our event here today. And, of course, the team, Joel Biggs and company from Historic Programs. Now, by the way, this last group here is here every year and always willing to support this great effort. Why, you two used to be one of these at one time, did you not? The Young Marines. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite each of our young student representatives, Joel Biggs, if you could help me organize that, to please present a flower lei to each of our Purple Heart recipients and World War II veterans who are with us here today. If you are a Purple Heart member of our audience, ladies and gentlemen, we invite you, please, don't be shy, stand. We'd like to recognize you. Wave your hand so we can recognize you at this time. We have Hawaiian lei for any of you out there or on stage, members of our Purple Hearts veterans. Stand by. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the show must go on. By way of introduction, you heard from him before, making you glad you have ears and eyes. He's a handsome bloke, that's for sure. But Chairman Joel, I got to acknowledge you. I've lived here 57 years, like I just shared, and December is a very, very risky weather month. And you happen to insist on holding this outdoor event all the time. It's a parade, after all. And this guy, 11 years in a row, once again brought his weather angel, and always, including today, has great weather, has dodged every major weather bullet in the past for 11 years, hailing from the great state of Arizona. Your friend and mine, the chairman of this Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade. Give it up and give a nice welcome to Joel Biggs. Welcome back, Joel. Good job.
Thank you, Joe. Always so kind. And you know, when you come from Arizona where it doesn't rain, maybe that has something to do with it. We say that we are all beach and no ocean in Arizona. It's good to be with you today. Today it's my honor to recognize our history makers. Joe had mentioned this earlier, but the constant in this event every single year is two organizations. Number one, the Marine Forces Pacific Band. They have been here every single year to lead the parade and to talk about the point of the spear. These guys are here. They make it happen. We're so proud of our association with the Marine Corps and all that they do for us in this event for helping us recognize our veterans. And we'd like to invite Gunnery Sergeant Monica Preston forward. Also, Staff Sergeant Fahaki, who is with the Young Marines. They're the other organization who are here every single year to help with whatever needs to be done. I'd like to thank both of these organizations for all that they do. And it just so happens today we have the honor of having Colonel Bill Davis with us today, the National Executive Director of the Young Marines. So thank you for being here. There you are. All right. Thank you. Today is my honor to present the History Maker Award to each of our World War II veterans and Pearl Harbor survivors. This event is known as America's Living Memorial. Here we have the opportunity to unite generations through a truly meaningful event that recognizes service, honor, unity, while educating and inspiring both those who are willing to make history by their service and sacrifice, and those who are willing to remember and to graciously receive this gift of freedom and liberty by serving others. On the front of this medallion that will be presented is the statue that is centered at the American Cemetery at Omaha Beach in Normandy, France. The spirit of American youth rising from the waves. These wise old gentlemen and ladies, and by the way, we have Rosie's back here, who did so much to support the ROAR effort. We're so honored to have them with us today as well, and they'll also be receiving this History Maker medallion. But these men and women were once your age, and at your age, they all to preserve liberty and freedom, of which we're the beneficiaries of today. This medal is etched on the back. It says, "One who represents the spirit of America through selfless service and whose influence affected positive change in the world." So on behalf of the rising generation, we thank you, the greatest generation, for your willingness to preserve the freedom and the liberty that we enjoy today. You are all history makers. At this time, I would like to invite Miss United States to join me in presenting these medallions. These are special awards, but there are a lot of worthy people, people who are certainly worthy of these awards. And because of the efforts that the Marine Corps Pacific Band and also the Young Marines, I'd like to present their representative with the History Maker Award as well. While we're giving this out, Joe, I'm going to invite you back up, but Tommy Tanaka has been here every single year too, and I'd like to present one to him as well. And Henry Lee, who's sitting right next to him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Joel Biggs for the great state of Arizona. And speaking of great things, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, if you've been here before with us or online, you've known that our event is graced with many VIPs present in the past. Beloved actor and veteran supporter of all things military, Gary Sinise, helping us celebrate as a parade marshal back our 75th anniversary edition back in 2016. We have many VIPs here today, distinguished people and speakers that would like to have you lend them your ears. And at this time, therefore, it gives me a great privilege to introduce the first of our VIP guest speakers today. First speaker comes to us from the National Young Marines Association Young Marine of the Year. His name is Sergeant Major Jason Glasscox. He's representing all of the young students who are here with us today. Following Jason's remarks, we will be pleased to hear from our beautiful Pearl Harbor Honor Choir and their performance of America the Beautiful. Young Marine Sergeant Major Jason Glasscox. Right behind me. Welcome. Good to have you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Young Marine Sergeant Major Glasscox, and I have the honor of being the National Young Marine of the Year for the year of 2022 to 2023. And all that means is that every single year, thousands of young Marines from across the country compete to be a mentor, to be a leader, and to be someone that young people today can look up to. I have the honor of representing our organization on that national scale and talking to you for just a few moments today. I've been in this program for 10 years. I was 8 years old whenever I first joined, and I am now 18 standing before you, and it has firmly changed my life, given me direction, given me purpose, instilled morals that our country uphold and rely on even today. Our program focuses on community service, drug demand reduction, keeping kids off of the cancer of today, which is drugs. But the cornerstone of our program and what we are founded on is veterans appreciation and honoring our veterans. Throughout the past 7 days, I've had the amazing opportunity to visit historical sites such as the USS Arizona, see the sunken battleship, talk to the living history behind me. The honor is unspeakable. What Veterans Appreciation means to me is never forgetting the names, the lives, the events, the battles, the war, the people that were involved in making America what it is today. Sacrificing everything that they can, putting their lives on the line, not because they have to, not because of personal gain, but because they want us to be safe. They did it, and they continue to do it so that we don't have to. That was instilled in me at a young age. And now on my way to the Marine Corps, soon to be Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, I'm going to carry that with me for the rest of my life. It's such an honor to be here today. Behind me is a Marine who served in World War II, who was at the Battle of Iwo Jima for 6 weeks. He was a flamethrower operator. Reading about history, reading about the making of our nation and the battles that was fought so that we can have what we have today is one thing. But seeing it, meeting it, and getting a first-hand account of what our nation is built upon and the sacrifices that it has required is a completely different story. It is my honor to be here. The mentors that I've had in my life have all been of military nature, have all been veterans. The Young Marine program has provided me with that. And I think that there are no better mentors to have than those that are selfless, those that uphold the highest of moral virtues, and those that are honorable. The men and women that you see today, the men and women behind me that have effectively changed history and given me the opportunity to be in front of you today, standing here free with the choice of what I can and cannot do, which is up to me. For that to have happened, they had to sacrifice. And for that, I am ever in debt. So we thank you for your service. Not only recognized, but their continued service far beyond their years in the military, of mentorship, of guidance, and of leadership. For that, I'm forever indebted, and I thank you all. God bless and Semper Fi.
Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Young Marine Sergeant Major Jason Glasscox. We were looking at an embodiment of hope in America, hope for America, hope in the future. Don't you agree? Honor at such a young age. I believe we have a honor choir ready to go with America the Beautiful. And so are you. Take it away. America the Beautiful. Thank you so much. We've heard our national anthem. We're going to hear it once again as we kick off the parade out there. I have a question. Is America the Beautiful our national hymn? Or is it Our Country 'Tis of Thee? Dave, you'd know something like that. Where's our resident historian when we need it? But anyway, so much for that. Now, a lot of you have maybe done one or a handful of public appearances or speeches or presentations in the last year. The next of our VIP guest speakers has done 52 presentations in nearly every state in our great country of America in just the past year. And he's a little bit your senior, but he's still got it. At 101, come December 13th. It's always a special occasion when you can hear a first-hand account, ladies and gentlemen, of someone who witnessed the history for which we're here today. Jack Holder, right behind me, was on duty on Ford Island 81 years ago on December 7th, 1941, when 353 Imperial Japanese aircraft attacked Pearl Harbor. Jack can still see clearly the face of the Japanese pilot whose machine gun fire barely missed killing him and his mates as they hid in plain sight in a sewer ditch. Sadly, he also sees images of the 2,403 Americans who were killed and the 19 U.S. Navy ships that were destroyed or damaged that day. Following the Pearl Harbor attack, Jack flew in well over 100 important U.S. Navy missions in World War II, including the infamous 1942 Battle of Midway, Guadalcanal, and all of the Solomon Islands, the English Channel, and Bay of Biscay on the west coast of France. And Jack has received numerous medals for his outstanding service, including 2 Distinguished Flying Cross medals. Jack Holder, our next guest speaker, is the author of the book Fear, Adrenaline, and Excitement. He remains a compelling in-person storyteller and event speaker because, for better or worse, he still sees, feels, and remembers it all in vivid detail. Today he resides in Chandler, Arizona. Ladies and gentlemen, your friend and mine, a great American, please welcome and appreciate Jack Holder.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. As this gentleman here, Joe, just told you, I had the duty that day. In fact, I arrived in Pearl Harbor December the 12th, 1940. But I was a flight engineer on the PBY. I had the duty that day, as I said. My section had just fell in for muster, and when the section leader began roll call, we heard a screaming aircraft. We thought probably it was one of our own aircraft about to crash. Moments later, a terrible explosion. My hangar, VP-23, was 100 yards from the hangar that found the first bomb that fell on Ford Island that day, VP-21. Incidentally, VP-21 was empty at the time. The squadron was in the Philippines on advanced base training. At any rate, when we heard the explosion, we ran outside, seen all the aircrafts in the sky with the rising sun insignia, We knew immediately what had happened, and I've been asked so many times what my thoughts were at that time, and I can tell you there was a bunch of them. Anger, surprise, fear, whatever. It so happened one of my shipmates, remember, there was a sewer line behind our hangar under construction. He said, let's go for the ditch, follow me. We all ran, jumped in the ditch, set our slings to each other, and I'm sure a lot of us said a few prayers. I did. I said, please God, don't let me die in this ditch. One of the pilots seen us, strafed the ditch with machine gun fire, missed us for probably 3 feet. He hit the dirt pile up beside us. This was a two-wave attack, of course, you know, 183 aircraft in the first wave. When the first wave was over, we were out of the ditch. Incidentally, we had just returned from San Diego with brand new PBYs 2 weeks prior. They were all apart between the 2 hangars. Half of them were on fire. We started separating the aircraft that were damaged from those that weren't. The leading chief grabbed me and told me to get 2 more of my shipmates and get the squadron commander's aircraft ready for flight. It was in the hangar undergoing a 30-hour check. We got the engines buttoned up, the aircraft was rolled out. He and the crew flew 19 hours looking for the Jap fleet, but found nothing. I seen devastation there that is mind-boggling. You cannot believe the horror that went through what I seen. Seen the Arizona sinking, listing at 45 degrees in Nevada, West Virginia, Tennessee, California. I watched the Oklahoma turtle up. But the devastation I seen was my shipmates jumping off of the ships that had been struck with torpedoes, jumping into water that was covered with oil and on fire. Most of them died in the water. Some of them died when they reached the beach. It was horrible. Martial law was declared immediately when the conflict started. Honolulu was all under blackout. And late in the afternoon, the machine gun pits constructed from sandbags were set up all around Fort Island. I had the pleasure, along with 2 of my shipmates, to man one of them 3 days and nights. We had no idea where the Japanese fleet was or if they planned on returning. But every ship noise and every aircraft noise we heard, we knew it was them. Fortunately, that didn't happen. On the 4th morning, we were allowed to return to our barracks. All lockers had been broken open to retrieve white clothing for bandages, and every individual was given a postcard with 2 inscriptions. The first one said, I've been wounded. The second one said, I'm okay, don't worry. My mother received this card 14 days later. When I seen my father, much later, he said my mother was hysterical at that time. She got on her knees and prayed to God if he would save her son, she'd spend the rest of her life working for the church, and she did. Normal duty, we came back a few days after the conflict, but it didn't last long. I was on my way to Midway, April 26th. Thank you very much. And incidentally, I arrived here with a broken hip.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're all familiar with the household familiar expression, the greatest generation. You were just witnessing a living legend and the reason for that expression, the living embodiment of that. Give it up for Mr. Jack Holder. Jack, God bless you. Aloha. You need some inspiration about overcoming anything at any level you face. You remember Jack Holder, all right? And now keeping America free because of the brave, our next VIP guest speaker, representing the Semper Fi do or die crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again, Jack, for those inspiring words. It's my honor to introduce Colonel Spiros Kumparakis. He's the commanding officer of Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. Give it up for Colonel Spiros Kumparakis. Welcome, sir. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Joe, thank you very, very much. Well, aloha, everyone. Once again, my name is Colonel Spiro Kumparakis. I'm going to learn how to work this microphone in about 30 seconds, and then we can continue on. All right. To each and every one of you, I want to personally say thank you for being here today, for taking time to remember those most important things that make America the special country that it is and the leader that it is in the world. This morning at 0800, flags went up in the United States, and then they drifted back down to half-mast. On our base at Kaneohe Bay on the other side of this island, a chaplain then gave an invocation. And he said to each and every one of us, please join me and bow your heads, because that action of bowing your head in a solemn invocation is the same thing we see when that flag goes from the top of the mast back down to half-mast. And today we did that in honor of those who were lost on December 7th, 1941. I normally like to shoot from the hip, but today's too important, so I wanted to just share a few notes with you. You've just heard from Jack. I got to meet Jack earlier this week, and we did what we call here in Hawaii some talk story. And it was with Jack, and it was with Carl, and it was with Don. And I just met Herbert just a few minutes ago, who also traveled in. Truly the greatest generation. And earlier today and earlier this week, you got to hear from someone else I met. One of the youngest sergeant majors I've ever met, Sergeant Major Glasscock, who just talked to you as if he had been in the Marine Corps for 40 years. But he's just getting ready to serve his first year, being a young Marine and going through, hopefully, boot camp in the very near future. I have the distinct honor of being about halfway between both of them, between Jack and Sergeant Major Glasscock. And what I'm going to share with you today is what I've learned just over the last few years that I've served with myself and Sergeant Major Joe Caputo. And then later today, we're going to help oversee the parade where you're going to see folks marching, and hopefully I'm going to see each and every one of you, and we're going to see if you're ready for the next step in your journey, if you're doing it with the pomp and circumstance and the tradition and honor that we look for within the United States. For a few other folks I want to thank. You're going to see around you not only those who've come to visit, but I'm really proud to stand beside my joint partners. And here on my left, your right, I'm proud to serve with our Navy team, our Army team, our Air Force here in Hawaii. And then, of course, our Mar 4 Pac Band Marines, all representing our Department of Defense. So last night I received an email. I stay in contact with someone important to me. My base is Kaneohe Bay. and a few other bases around Hawaii, some camps. But Kaneohe Bay was important in 1941 because that is where the Clipper was located. The same aircraft that Jack flew on, they were stationed at Kaneohe Bay. Those PBY Catalinas. And in one of those units was a man by the name of John Finn. John Finn was the very first person to earn a Medal of Honor right after December 7th, 1941. John's great nephew emailed me yesterday, and he said, would you please share something with folks? He emailed the crew of the USS John Finn, DDG-113, and this year is extra special because this would have been John Finn's 113th birthday. And John Finn was an amazing individual. When the sounds of aircraft came down across the Kolau Mountains about 25 minutes before they hit Pearl Harbor, John Finn heard them and he ran to protect his PBYs. He was a Chief Petty Officer in the Navy. He ran into a hangar, he grabbed a 50 cal, he grabbed a training stand, and he grabbed ammo, and he began shooting and rappelling and standing fast against the adversaries. And on that spot, he was wounded not once, not twice, but 20 wounds, and he would not move. And at the end of that day, he survived. And he lived to be over 90 years old, and he still remembered what he loved most, retiring as a lieutenant. His one personal award, a Medal of Honor. And the one place he loved to be was with sailors by the aircraft he dedicated his life to support. Beyond John Finn, I asked the great nephew, what do you think they talked about on December 6, 1941? What were they thinking about that happened 81 years before? 81 years before December 7th, 1941. And I'll share with you today because I think it's important. In a world that always seems that it's on its edge. 81 years before December 7th, 1941 was 1860. In November, President Lincoln had been elected president with 39% of the popular vote in a four-way runoff, becoming the President of the United States. By December, one of our states had decided to secede from that union. By early the next year, a war had started that broke our country apart, 81 years before the start of World War II. But only because of that incredible turmoil that tore our country apart, we became a greater nation. We knew that because of that horrible loss, that horrible war that fought brother against brother, we became a country that could lead the world. We learned from that, and we became a better country. And so 81 years later, we might have not been exactly ready for World War II, but our service members were. These great giants behind me were ready. And one of the other ones, who I met earlier this week and we did talk story with, was Don Graves. And Sergeant Major Glasscock talked about Don Graves a little bit, but I'll share with you just a little bit more. Something he shared with us in front of the Iwo Jima Memorial on Kaneohe Bay. He told us about how they landed with the 28th Regiment on that island of Iwo Jima. They climbed to the top of Mount Suribachi. He arrived only minutes after the first flag had gone up, and we used piping, drainage piping that the Japanese had used to catch water to raise our flag. Ingenuity at its finest, making sure that that flag would be raised over Mount Suribachi, and he was there to witness it. But that wasn't the end. He continued on, and he lost his brothers, and he created new teams. His 3rd Marine Division came in, and you told me a story that I'll remember for the rest of my life. They had other folks who were coming up the reserves to help fill the lines. And a place that Don had been standing with his binos, figuring out where the enemy was coming from, his replacement said, "I've got the watch." And he stood there. He handed off, after battling for multiple days, he handed off the watch. And within minutes, his new squad leader had been hit and dropped to the ground. Inside his helmet, a beautiful young wife and a beautiful young child. And Don told us earlier this week he didn't know why he was spared, except for the fact that he needs to tell that story. And the other story you told us, Don, that I'll never forget, is that when you see or read the names over at the Clipper Memorial, the Oklahoma Memorial, or the Arizona Memorial, what they need to know, what they didn't hear, but one day we will join them in heaven, is that you won't believe what we did because of you. The actions done by these incredible heroes and the support they were provided changed the world to be a better place. And 81 years later, today, I'll share with you that in Kaneohe Bay, a Japanese official joined us in remembrance, bowed in remembrance, because the Japanese are our most sacred ally in the Pacific. We do nothing in the Pacific without the support of our Japanese allies and the other allies and partners we have there. A horrible war that started on this day 81 years ago, turning into one of the most beautiful relationships of peace and prosperity the world has ever seen. Only through violence do we find growth if we are willing to look for it. And so, to each and every one of you, I ask you to remember not only December 7th, 1941, not only the strife that our country has gone through to become such a wonderful country, but know this, 81 years from now, what will they say about us? And for those service members I see standing by my side, I want them to say, this generation was ready because of the giants and the backs that built us up. We are ready for whatever happens to support our allies and defeat any foe who comes against us. And with that, I say Semper Fidelis, and I look forward to seeing you at the parade.
Mahalo. Thank you so much, Colonel Kumparakis, Marine Corps Base Hawaii's commanding officer. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are concluded with our opening ceremony. To our veterans and your families, we salute, we honor you. As we conclude our opening ceremony today, we invite you to enjoy our official Pearl Harbor Mass Band as they perform God Bless America. Following the performance of the Mass Band, the Marine Forces Pacific Band will perform the Armed Forces Medley. And following their performance, we'll invite all the parade participants to be dismissed to follow your tour manager to the parade route. I want to thank, by the way, everybody covering our event today. We have Mr. Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now, representing NBC and CBS here locally. Thank you, Ben and company, for being here today. God bless you. Merry Christmas. And so at this time, the Marine Band performance of God Bless America at 6 o'clock on King Kalakaua Avenue. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime. Put your hands together. Let's get ready. The Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade is about to begin. We'll see you down the strip on King Kalakaua Avenue. Take it away. Mahalo.